Good morning, learners, and welcome to our base science lesson that is going to be on soil. You remember in our last lesson we looked majorly on animals, and we finalized our lesson when we mentioned lastly about the invertebrates. So you remember very well that invertebrates are animals without backbones, and we mentioned the class of invertebrates that include majorly the insects. Then we have the arachnids that have 8 legs, the 4 pairs of legs, and then we have the other that we also mentioned. So Lana, today we're welcome to this soil, where we need to know what is the meaning of soil first of all. So soil is the loose uppermost part of the earth. The loose uppermost part of the earth. Right now, where I'm standing on the earth. So the loose part, that is where I'm stepping on, we can call it soil, because the loose uppermost part. The interior part of the earth is normally hard. It contains gravel and even rocks are down here. But on the uppermost part, we have the loose part that is normally called the soil. So soil is the loose uppermost part of the earth. That is the definition of soil. Then we come to know the types now. We have 3 types of soil that we learned in class 4. Just to mention, we have number 1, that is clay soil, normally number 1. From 2, we have loam soil, and then lastly, we have sandy soil, and then number 3, we now have loam. Why have I arranged them like that in order? Because we have begun with the finest, the one with the finest particles, that is clay soil. And then the one with the bigger particles. So if you mix clay plus sand soil, we get loam. And loam has moderate, medium particles. Its particles are not so large and are not so tiny as the clays. So we need to know something about we need to know first of all the use of soil, for which we learned that soil is mainly used to plant. We use soil to plant our crops. Another thing about the same soil, that some animals live in the soil. You remember earthworms, ants, termites, and etc. They live in the soil. And then we also plant most of our plants. Plants grow on the soil. So those are the major uses of soil that we are going to look at this level. So let us go to the soil texture, and we see what we are going to see under soil texture. So what is soil texture first of all? Soil texture is simply the roughness or smoothness. This is the roughness or smoothness of soil. From class 2 onwards, we will be learning about this, that which soil is rough and which one is smooth. I just mentioned them as we were beginning this lesson, the roughness and smoothness of soil. So the roughness of soil also referred to as the coarseness. So talk of roughness. This word rough can also talk of coarse, the coarseness. Write it well. The coarseness of soil. So a rough soil is also said to be coarse. So opposite, the word doesn't mean the same as rough. Same as coarse. This coarse. Then smoothness. Smoothness is also known as fine, the fineness. The fineness of soil. This one can also be said of fine. Fineness. The fineness of soil. So the word fine is same as smooth. And then we need to know something about soil texture. Depends on the size of the soil, the particles. We talk of soil texture We now talk of the size of the particles. If you say that which texture is sandy soil, for example, we talk of the size of the particle, that's when we say that it has a rough texture, or it has a coarse texture. Then we come to the type of soil with large particles. The type of soil with large particles is not automatically rough. The soil with the largest particle, that is sandy soil, it is normally rough. It is rough or coarse. Then the one with the type of the soil, the type of soil that feels smooth, top of it has a smooth texture. Then we come to sandy soil. Just mentioned that before. That sandy soil is rough in nature. Sandy soil is normally rough or coarse, as we have mentioned. And then we have clay, that it is very smooth, or we can talk of fine. Then comes to loam now. Loam is medium sized, or you can say it has, let me look for the best term to use under loam. Yeah, moderate texture. This is about texture. So we said that sandy soil has a rough or coarse texture, then clay soil has a smooth or fine texture, then loam has a moderate texture. Moderate meaning not very big or not very small, in the medium. So let's look at the physical properties of soil. Another thing is the physical properties of soil. And that is what we have begun looking at, whatever I've written there. The physical properties. Under this the physical properties are there. We'll capture the drainage. Which soil has the best drainage. Then we are again going to have water retention. Retention, and finally you have capillarity. Double L. Capillarity. So we begin with the drainage, and we look what we are going to see what we have under drainage. So we begin with drainage as now number one. So what is drainage now? Ask yourself that question. And the answer is that drainage is the process. Drainage is the ability of the soil to allow water to pass through it. The ability of soil to allow water to pass through it. Like you can have a funnel here and a bottle of water somewhere, and then you realize that you pour some soil here, maybe clay soil. So as soon as you add water, put water inside this particular funnel, then the process by which this soil here, we allow that water to get into it, to pass through it into the bottle here. That process is now known for us drainage. The ability of the soil to allow water to pass through it. You know that normally when you use water at home and then you pour the water out, the water will be absorbed by the soil. So that process the soil allowing that water to pass through it into the ground is what we known as what? Drainage. The water has allowed the soil in. The soil has allowed the water in it. So that is the process called drainage. So drainage simply the ability of soil to allow water to pass through it. I've mentioned that. And then number two, We don't know that it depends purely on the size of the particles. This is drainage now. So the soil that has the smoothest particle, and the mentioned there is clay soil. So clay soil will hold water for a number of times. So the soil that is the best soil that has the best drainage. The soil with the best drainage. So the best drainage the soil with the best drainage has large, or kind of rough, it has large particles, or you can say it has rough or coarse texture. Rough texture. So meaning the soil with the best drainage is normally sandy. Why? Because its particles are big, and when particles are big, it allows water to pass through it very fast. That is why in all the places where we have sandy soil, drainage is normally very good. When it rains, water will be drained very fast, and then the ground will be very dry, like our school. Water doesn't stand on the soil for a long time. So the water will allow water to go get into it very fast because of the large particles. So the soil with the best drainage, Lana, is normally having large particles, and that is the sandy soil. Then we have something again. So loam soil as moderate. Loam soil has moderate drainage. Why? Because it has moderate particles. The particles are just moderate, so it allows little water to get into it, and then water will get into it slowly by slowly, not very fast like sandy soil. And then again, last one is here is clay. Clay has poor drainage. It has the poorest drainage. Why is it having the poorest drainage? Because of its fine particles. Because the particles are very fine, water takes long to get into it. That is why in any place where there is clay soil, we refer to those places as waterlogged. Why? Why are they waterlogged? In those areas we experience a lot of floods. Take for example all the places where we normally experience. Budalangi, a very good example. Budalangi in Busia County experienced a lot of floods. Look at Nyando, sub-county in Kisumu County, experienced a lot of floods. Why? Because the area has clay soil, and in any area where they have clay soil, Lana, we experience a lot of floods because the water, it holds water for a long time. Hence, floods will automatically take place. So we'll just say that clay soil has the poorest drainage. Why? Because of its fine particles. Because the particles are so fine, so water is held. Water is not running or being drained very, very fast. So let's just summarize drainage, Lana. Summarize drainage. We'll realize that we may get a picture like this in examination. A picture of 2, 3 things like that. Soil A, soil B, soil C. And then you're being told that somebody used a funnel. So you see a picture of a funnel. 3 funnels drawn in the way I've drawn them, and the funnels are normally of the same size to allow for accuracy. They're in the same size. Then we have Here we have something called cotton wool. Cotton wool is being placed on the mouth of this particular funnel, and then soil is being placed. Soil is being placed here. This is cotton wool. Let me make it round. And then next here we have the soil itself. Maybe I can draw them in terms of circles that you can see them well. Circles are here. And then lastly we have the soil. We put water. Water is being placed at the top. At the top we put water. So we draw that maybe here. Or let me just show by water. Let me put water now. So here we have a little water entering here. Then here we have medium. I can show by at least that one. Then here you can see the water is full. Maybe I can just put it there. So now from the water that has been collected, we have used same amount of cotton wool. This is cotton wool. All of it is cotton wool. Then this one is the soil. This one is soil. Same to this one, same to this one. And then this one is water. Water, even this one is water. So this one is just collecting jar. And then this one is funnel. So we have used same size, the funnel are of the same size, the cotton is the same size, water of the same size, the soil is of the same size. If you put, we put the same quantity so that you can be very accurate, and then the collecting jar should also be the same size so that you can see which soil collects a lot of water. So let's see through this soil, you can even give it a name directly. But this soil, that water has passed through it a little. Which soil is this? This soil must have fine particles. It holds water for a long time. So it holds this water for a long time. The water is not going through it very fast. So this soil is plain directly. Why? It has fine particles that cannot allow water to go through it very, very fast. Then soil number 2, that allows little water to pass through it. Moderate water to pass through it. So this one must be long. Why? Because this soil has medium particles, it has moderate particles. And then this soil doesn't allow a lot of water to pass through it. Then this soil remains the what? The sandy soil. This is the sandy. Why do you call it sandy? Because it has big particles, and big particles will allow water to go through it very, very fast. So then remember this always. You'll expect this type of question from the class where you are class 5 until the day you'll leave primary school. It always comes in examination KCPE, and tough questions come from it. And if you are a student where the way I've explained it, learner, you'll never get a problem as far as examination of science is concerned. So learner, so much for that. We are now going to just to explain whatever I just mentioned, that the best soil, the best drained soil, water drains best in sandy soil, then it is poorest in clay soil. Then drainage in loam soil is moderate, just as I mentioned. Then you'll be asked another thing, that how do we call the ability of soil to hold water? How do you call the ability of soil to hold water? That is what we are going to now. The ability of soil to hold water is called water retention. I just mentioned it when I talked of same drainage. That when soil holds water for a long time, that's here. This soil holds water for a long time, the clay soil. So the ability of soil to hold water is called water retention. Water retention. Water retention. And again, clay soil has the highest water retention. We just mentioned that this is under retention. That's a switch stay here. It holds water for a long time. It holds water, it retains water for a long time. So the best soil, let's say clay soil. Clay soil as the best. Clay soil as the best. Clay soil as the highest. Highest water retention. It retains soil for the longest as compared to the drain. And then loam soil. Loam soil. Has moderate retention. And then sandy soil has the poorest or the lowest. You can talk of poorest or lowest retention. And those are very important things that you need to know. When it comes to water drainage, sandy soil is the best. But when it comes to retention, it is poor. It retains water poorest. But when it comes to drainage, it is best in drainage. As clay soil is the least. It is the poorest as far as drainage is concerned. But when it comes to water retention, this one retains water for a long time. Clay soil retains water for a long time. That's why I mentioned that in areas where there is clay soil, those areas normally experience floods because water is retained for a long time. When water is retained for a long time, meaning that water is not going down because of the fine particles. So waterlogged, I mentioned that, but waterlogging and flooding mostly occur in areas that have clay soil because it retains a lot of water for a long time. Yeah, you must know that now. The flood that we experience happen because of the water that is retained for a long time by the what? By the soil. And then lastly, when it comes to capillarity, Lana, capillarity is simply the upward movement of soil. This is the upward movement of water. So capillarity, that is the C part, capillarity. Remember Lana, we have dealt with drainage, then water retention. So number C, or number 3, is capillarity. Let's define what capillarity is. Capillarity is the rising up of water in soil. This is a mention of the upward movement, but it's the rising. This is the rising up of water in soil. Very important, the rising up. So Lana, this one is simply, you normally experience this when we are in the countryside. You realize that you may see the ground is dry, but you can see some water coming from down. Some water, the place is just wet. So you wonder how the place got wet. There's water coming from down, then they come, then you see just a place is waterlogged abruptly. This one happens because of the upward movement of the soil. That is our water. Water is down, so the water moves up to the particles. So then you normally see a diagram like this. Let me show a small diagram here. Here we normally need a basin, just one basin. And then we have some cylinders here of the same size. The cylinders should be of the same size. None of them should be bigger than the other. And then we have water. Here we normally have water in this particular basin. And then we have cotton wool. We place cotton wool on the bottom, at the bottom of each jar. And then level of water, we add the same water. Yes, the soil here is mixed with water, so meaning we can put water. Here, the level of water of the same level, and then there's a part that will be, this one can be here, so this one somewhere here, and then another one will be so high around that place. So this is the level of water at which we place our water. Then you can see here we have that. So here we have loam, here we have sand, and here we have clay. And we are being asked now that which soil has the best capillarity. Just check that which one will allow water because of the particles. Here we deal with particles now. Because we mentioned in the beginning that the particles of sandy soil are large as compared to the particles of clay soil. Clay has finer particles. That's why it is waterlogged. It holds water. So because of the fine particles, Lana, this water will move up very, very fast on clay soil. That's why we say clay soil has the best capillarity. Capillarity. That's the best capillarity. Why? Because of the small particles, it allows us to move up very, very quickly. Followed by the loam soil. Loam soil has moderate capillarity because of the smaller particles. Then lastly, we have sand. Sand soil, because of the large particles, water doesn't move up very fast. Water can move downwards very fast through drainage, but going up, water will move very slowly. So when it comes to capillarity, sandy soil has the poorest capillarity. It's poor because of the large particles. And that's why sandy soil is used in building. We use sandy soil in building because it has large particles. Hence, when water comes from down, water can pass through it very, very fast to enter into the house. So water rises higher in clay because of the fine particles, average in loam, and then water rises very lowest in sandy soil because of the large particles. So clay, I say, is the best in capillarity, then sandy soil is the poorest in capillarity. Capillarity is in loam is normally moderate, as we mentioned before. So we just remaining with the characters of different types of soil. We mentioned about that. The sandy soil has the best drainage, as we mentioned. That's the best drainage. As you remember that it also has the poorest capillarity. It has the poorest capillarity. And then we have also said that sandy soil is also light because of the large particles. It's very light. It is not heavy. It's light. It's a light soil, and then it cannot make any ribbon. Remember that we learned that in class 3. Sandy soil cannot make any ribbon. The soil that makes the longest ribbon becomes clay soil. And then we will go to the characters of clay soil, and we can say that about sand again. This is in building. And then clay cell is used mainly for modeling. Why? Because it produces the longest ribbon. Because of the long ribbon, it can be easily used for making for modeling. Then again, it has the best capillarity. It is very heavy. Why? Due to the small particles, and it is also sticky. It is sticky when wet. It is sticky when wet. Then it is the best for modeling since it has the longest ribbon. The long one is the best for farming. As far as agriculture is concerned, it is the best. Why? Because it allows little water to get into it, and then water as well can't evaporate faster because it has moderate capillarity, moderate drainage, and moderate water retention. So it makes very short ribbons. We know about that. So Lana, that is normally the shortest topic, and we have finished it. We are going to do some few questions to test ourselves if we are well acquainted with whatever we have learned. Thank you, Lana. Remain very safe at home. This disease is real, hence will let us be very conscious about it. Bye.